everybody, this is Troy from Michigan Prospectors. I'm doing some excavation here in my front yard. This was my gold prospecting sluicing area all summer last year, processing any samples I brought back home, and also gold bearing sands from my own yard. We do have gold in our property everywhere. Anyway, I need to dig out my gear and get ready. Spring is in the air. It's not quite, but it's getting warmer. And as mentioned in my last video briefly, or a previous video, I am excavating. And I'm trying to get my sluice box out of the snow and set it up so I can run a 4-gallon sample of Lake Huron black sand in a much faster manner. And also I want to get this thing tuned for the beach so that when the weather turns, I will be ready. Well, I've been excavating the mega sluice. I've got the framework out and I've got the sluice box out. I've got the water pump hanging here. That was not, that had, hopefully had no water in it. I had hung that up before the snow fell. I've got the feeder tray, which I'm not sure if I'm going to use this year. That's caked with snow. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to make a proper box hopper on here so I can put in a whole lot more material and have sprayer nozzles around to flush that stuff, wash it, and then run it down. So I think I'm going to reconfigure that section. And I got my screens pried out of the ground. That takes any junk like from pine trees that happens to fall, which happens all year round out here. And that'll filter any junk out. So very soon, hopefully, if the weather holds, hopefully I'll finish that sample on the mega sluice here. We'll see what happens tomorrow. It's getting late today to start it. I've also got my big tub for the recirculating box. I'm letting natural snow melt off the roof, rinse it out for me and wash it, because there was some nasty chicken stuff in there. So I don't want to get my fingers in that. I want to let that fill up with some water and then wash it out, and then I'll have that ready. Nature's trying to reclaim the area. I got my tub out and washed. I got another one there ready to go. But snow is taking over. I got my bucket for recirculating thawing out. That's one with the holes in the sides. So all my sand and dirt fills the bucket and the water only comes out to recirculate. Still thawing things out. Well, there it is, guys. I've got mega sluice up and I am tweaking and tuning it. It is bigger than the opening of a 5-gallon bucket on the rear end, so I had to put some flashing here to stop the water from shooting out the back and flowing away. And you can see where it was flowing out on me. All of a sudden I started sucking air and figured out what was wrong. So, and it's good I'm doing this here at home, so when I'm on the beach I can run it without any problems. So the sluice itself is 48 by 12, but with the feeder tray we're almost at 60. So that's going to be replaced by a header box later on. Here we've got just a cement mixing tray, an 1100 GPH bilge pump, and a LifePool 4 battery. Once I get it tweaked and adjusted, I'm going to start running some of that sand through it. But I had some excavations necessary to even get to it. Everything's frozen to the ground. I had to adjust. There's a plant that froze to the ground. There's a sample of black sand that froze to the ground. So I had to work and maneuver to get in there. But lunchtime now. After lunch, I'm going to run that last 4 gallons through here and get this tuned in for the beach. Alright, I think I've got all the leaks and kinks worked out. Had to improvise and put a 2x4 down here. Water was shooting out the back, but I'm confined to very tight quarters here due to the snow and things being frozen in place. But I think I'm about ready to run some sand through and see how this thing performs. Now this, you guys, some of you might remember from last year, it's got a V-rib matting on the top and a Dream Mat Micro on the bottom. I've got more Dream Mats on the way soon for the beach. I should mention, I even used Gorilla Tape up there to prevent water loss. The reason is, down underneath the lip here, I had cut that and sliced it, and water was seeping in and going under with capillary action and dripping out. And I got to reduce water loss here so I can get this going. Well, let's run the first scoop. I'm not sure how fast I'm going to feed this yet. I have to really watch the mat. Keep an eye on that mat. Well, that tape didn't hold for anything. That Gorilla Tape didn't last. So there's some thick black sand streaming here. The Dream Mat is not loading yet though, but now you can see the black sand starting to feed up into here. I might rearrange the camera because I'm not sure what you can see. Now the black sand is starting to hit the Dream Mat. So it'd be interesting to see how this works out. I'm going to experiment a bit and get a feel for how I'm going to run it. There, I got a little bit of an overview here. See if I can get around without kicking something. A little bit treacherous with all the snow and ice around here. Now my goal is to be able to get this tuned and set up so I can run a full shovel a minute once I get the header box on there. Got a little bit of bunching up here, so flow is restricted right here in the middle. Black sand's bunching up here. The Dream Mat's not plugging up though. It's loaded a lot though with white sand, so I'm not sure where the black sand is going, but there's a lot of white sand in all the cells. But I'm capturing everything in a bucket so I can run this on my small sluice later and reprocess it, see what happens. Now the black mat is loaded up pretty heavily down here, really thick here, and the black sand is snaking down over the top surface of it. And then it starts to feed in and get down to here. It's like molasses running underwater here. You can see it's the tail end of the snake right here. It's feeding over this way. I don't think I'm balanced. It's going to be almost impossible to level off perfectly here. I'll experiment with how fast I can feed this. It really loads up here. But the Dream Mat isn't loading up with the heavy black sand, so that's a good thing, I think. We'll find out when we're done. I'm going to run this bucket through. I don't think the Dream Mat's getting loaded. The V-Mat is loading up heavily right here. I really can't see my camera outdoors. It's really thick here, and there's a snaking little bit going down there. But I think that the V-Mat is dispersing it well enough for the Dream Mat, because the Dream Mat doesn't appear to be loading up at all. I'll see better when I get on the camera. I see a little bit of loading down over here in some cells. The color of this Dream Mat makes it a little harder to see too though. But it's really dispersing fast from the water flow up here. I can feed it fast. It goes really fast. Now here it's thick. I really can't see my camera, so I don't know what you can see. Here it's really thick. But by the time we get down here, this isn't loading up at all. It looks really good. So my experiment today is to see how fast I can feed this while I'm here in a controlled environment, so that by the time I get out to the beach next time, I'll know what my capabilities are. And then I'm going to do 3 cleanouts. This one, and then the sluice box itself, and see where all the gold lays. Actually 4. I'm going to run the tailings through another sluice to make sure I don't lose anything. Now, I don't think the green mat's loading up. I want to hit it hard real quick here up front and give it a whole scoop. I'm going to put another partial scoop, a quarter scoop. Load that front mat heavy. Now the white sands comes through and loads it up. That blows off pretty quick, and then slowly behind that the black sands start to enter. Right over here the black sand starts to enter along the center. For some reason I'm going to have to work on the flow. It's all coming through the middle, but the dream mat is not really loading up too bad at all. I'm thinking I can get a good scoop every 30 seconds or so to a minute. Let me hit it again. Now there's some thick black stuff here that's going to start to feed down. It'll be interesting to see how much I catch in the top V mat when I'm done. That was a good scoop. That white stuff floats on down pretty quick. It's looking good, I think. I don't see any heavy loading of black sand. As long as I'm not overloading the cells, there's a little bit right up in here. Just a little bit. As long as I'm not overloading the cells, they should be able to do their work and hold that gold. Finally, found the bottom of the bucket. That took a lot longer than I had hoped. Hour and a half. I'm gonna let a little bit of this flow down still and clean out the cells, and then I'll shut off the water and we'll run it through. I didn't want to overload the dream mat, so it did take a little bit longer than I had hoped. Well, let's see what the results are. Well, first I've rinsed the black mat, and we'll see if we got any gold in here. I also rinsed the nuts and bolts while I was at it, and I'll pan this out and see what we got. Well guys, I count 29 colors, and actually there's some that I can only see with a magnifying glass that I did not count, and that is from the top mat. So now I'm going to clean out the cons from the dream mat and see what we get there. But it's interesting to see the top mat caught 29 colors out of a 4-gallon sample and pretty quickly flushed through it. Hard to believe, but I only pulled one single speck of gold out of the dream mat. I find it incredibly hard to believe. I did not trust my VMAT to get all the gold. I still am not sure. Now I still have some materials from the sluice box itself to clean out. I wouldn't be surprised to find a flake or two. But 30 so far total. Only one in the dream mat. So either the V was catching everything and the dream mat just didn't have anything to catch, or I was flushing it out of the system. The tailings will tell. That'll have to be a separate video though. Right now I'm going to clean the I'm going to pan out what was in the sluice box after I pulled out the mats. Nothing in the sluice. So 29 colors in the V mat, one from the dream mat, and I got to check the tailings because I don't believe that. Although you never know with mining. That bucket, I got one bucket here and right next to it another bucket. It could very well be this was a hot spot and right here wasn't. Just never know. Not till I check those tailings.